How's it going? Now, I looked at my calendar today and I noticed it's still March. And it's going to be March for a while, so the madness is going to continue. So let's talk about it. Now, I know what everyone's thinking. Those refs sucked. That's correct. They were bad. They were not good. And I want to talk about that. But first, let's go game by game. You get a quick look-see. UNC-Baylor. What the heck? So, UNC, they're playing great, despite Sochan, whatever you want to call him, pink-haired dude, on Baylor being really extremely dirty, unnecessarily. He should have been tossed in the first half for an ankle grab. That was some Grayson Allen type stuff. Anyway, UNC, they get up big, 25, Manic ejected. And then the calls start going every time up the court for Baylor. Baylor is playing incredibly physical on defense. Not one call for 10 minutes. UNC, on the other hand, anytime you just give them a little poke, that's basically just foul. Baylor to the line to shoot too. It was outrageous. It was unfair. Thankfully, the refs ultimately didn't influence the game outside of forcing overtime where UNC was able to win. Now, I hate UNC. I mean, look at this hat. Wake Forest, UNC, NC State, Duke. Ugh. But I want them to lose fairly. I don't want them to get, screwed over by the refs, and that's what happened here. Kansas, Creighton put up an incredible fight. I thought it was going to be one of those games where Kansas faces a team that just shoots and makes a bunch of threes. But, credit to Kansas. They were able to win this game. Creighton, they played incredibly well without their big man, and I think they'll be back next year. Michigan, Tennessee. Michigan just looked like the better team. I mean, I like the moment at the end where Juwan Howard consoled the Tennessee player. I know they've known each other for a long time. I thought it would be a little weird. But Michigan just, both of these teams look good. I think this game could have gone either way, but Michigan came to play, and they're trying to prove they belong in this tournament. I think they've got a chip on their shoulder. Providence, Richmond, not a good look for the Spiders. Providence just came out and dominated them. St. Mary's and UCLA. It was a pretty good first half of basketball. It was close. I mean, UCLA was up 7 at the break, and then they came out and they win. They went out. They win this game by 16 points. St. Peter's, Murray State. Now, going into this game, well, I thought it'd be Kentucky, Murray State, but going into knowing St. Peter's was going to be playing, I thought Murray State would win. But St. Peter's, I thought they might have a shot. And they took control early. They never trailed in this game. And that's what impresses me. And I love that they blocked the last Murray State shot. It's kind of emblematic of how, sure, their offense was great, but their defense is what won these games. I mean, maybe not against Kentucky, but this game, they could play defense, and that's what won this game. Kentucky, they shot lights out, and I think they're going to have to do that against Purdue if they stand a chance to continue to advance. But defense is what won them this game. New Mexico State, Arkansas, that was maybe a game of it. Was not a pretty game, but Arkansas did what they need to do to win. Memphis and Gonzaga. This game, Drew Timme took over. Without Drew Timme, Gonzaga is going home. He took over in the second half, and he just willed the Zags to the win here. Drew Timme, second half, 21 points. That's incredible. He was the difference between Gonzaga being down 10 at the half and winning this game by 4. Memphis played well, proved they belong in this tournament, especially after that mid-season lull. it's going to be interesting to see how this Memphis team kind of retools, reloads for next year. Houston, Illinois, another game that was kind of close at the half, and then Houston just pulled away from Illinois. Ohio State, Villanova. Villanova really just they are a 2 seed, and they're doing things like a 2 seed should. Speaking of 2 seeds, Michigan State, Duke. That was a great game. I think really Bencaro for Duke. He came out in the last 4 minutes when Duke was down 5, and he came out and he proved he wanted to keep playing in this tournament, and that's what Duke did. Him and Roach stepped up and made it so the Blue Devils made the Sweet 16. Iowa State and Wisconsin, that was just a defensive slugfest. Neither team has a reputation for scoring a lot. Both are defensive-minded, and that's exactly what happened here. Iowa State, they made their shots, and they advanced. Well, they made not three-pointers. Neither of them made three-pointers, but they made some shots. Notre Dame, Texas Tech. Notre Dame played them close. Texas Tech just had a little more. Notre Dame, they made some mistakes that you understand why they're an 11 seed and Texas Tech is a 3 seed. Miami, Auburn. Those super-duper seniors on Miami are the reason the Canes will go far in this tournament. They came out and they just beat Auburn, and it didn't seem that particularly close. I mean, the final score is 18, and that's certainly in some part due to fouls at the end of the game, but Miami just controlled the game from tip to buzzer. Texas gave Purdue a good fight, but had a big scoring drought in the first half from 15:07 to 5:26, and you can't do that if you want to win the game. With that drought, it's remarkable this was only a 10-point game. TCU-Arizona. Now, that's another game that had some controversy at the end. I thought TCU, credit to their big. He had the best game of his career when TCU needed it. He played some bully ball, and he bullied Arizona. That three-pointer at the end. That's an all-time moment for March Madness. That was, needed. Make that or you're going home, and, credit Arizona, they hit it. But at the end of the game, I don't like what the refs did. Now, personally, looking at all the angles, I can see the argument for the foul. I can see the argument for no foul. I would err on the side of no foul, especially since the game is going to overtime. And I know inconsistent refereeing is a problem, but I think if the game was TCU down 2, you call the foul, TCU tied, maybe not. And maybe also if there was more than a couple, a little bit of time on the clock. But regardless of if it's a foul or not, you can't not call a backcourt violation there. You either have to call the foul or you have to call the backcourt. You can't call neither. TCU also, I think, with 3 seconds when they're clearly trapped in the corner, you're not going to get a good shot if they get a shot at all. Should have called timeout and drew up a play. They had a timeout. They should have used it. Now, Arizona, on the other hand, that was one of the worst dunks. Why would you dunk that? You have to have better clock awareness than that. They should have gone for a quick floater or layup even. And they probably would have won in regulation. I know there was a weird clock issue. It's hard to tell if it was paused in the stadium or just on the broadcast. The refs probably would have gone and retimed the shot. But even with potentially extra time, the ball was still in his hands at the horn. You have to get that shot off. Now, going back to the refs, I touched TCU Arizona, the late game. You need to call, one or the other, a foul or a backcourt. Baylor, UNC, those refs should not be allowed to do another game. That game, I think, is the first time I can say that a game was rigged. Even if it wasn't, that game seemed rigged. I don't know for ratings for what, but it's a bad look for the NCAA when you're calling everything every time against UNC and then nothing against Baylor. I think possibly the worst call in that game, I don't even want to touch on the Manic flagrant 2. I think it was a flagrant 1 if you ask me, but I can certainly see, especially, with the shoulder turn and then the elbow. I can see why they called the flagrant 2. But the technical right after on Baycott when they got tangled. No, he got tackled. I mean, and I didn't see if he did. I think their legs just got caught when they tried to stand up. And if you didn't call it in the first half, you can't call it in the second half. And I just thought it was, double foul. It's probably fine. I don't like double fouls, but if there's a case to use them, it's there, except he got tackled. But if you're going to ignore that's where you use it. And if you're going to call it technical, their legs got caught with each other, you got to call it double tech. I did not like that call more than about any other call. But, end of the day, ball don't lie, UNC wins. Now that we've, got down to 16 teams, let's talk about the conferences. Okay, so we know the Mountain West. And I don't want to judge a conference based on their results in March, but that's exactly what I'm going to do here. Mountain West, frauds. They're done. Big Ten, not looking great, but better than someone. The SEC. How did all your teams lose to double-digit seeds? Except Arkansas, who played horribly, but still was able to win against a double-digit seed. That is unacceptable for a conference. And it further shows the issue with strength of schedule being evaluated at the start of the season. I think we need to have some sort of mid-season non-conference games to make sure to evaluate, hey, this team's gotten a lot better. We should adjust that for their strength of schedule. Because otherwise they have no way to judge it. And teams in the ACC, for instance, this year get under it. ACC had, issues, I think, they came out kind of flat, but a lot of teams, Miami, Notre Dame, got better as the year went on, and it hurt other teams in the conference strength of schedule. I think Wake Forest, and at this point, even Virginia, should have been in the tournament. But that doesn't matter, because they're not in the tournament. They're in the not-in tournament, the NIT. NIT. I think, just for fun, I think the NIT winner should get an auto bid to the next year's tournament. I think it'd be a great prize. They'll never do it, but I think, why not, right? Like, if Alcorn State so chooses to win the NIT, let them in the tournament next year. Why not? Why not? Other than the refereeing being inconsistent, I think the tournament was a lot of good games, a lot of close games, not really any blowouts. Every 1 seed got a run for their money, and Baylor lost. I think this tournament, even though right now it seems to be pretty much all chalk, going into the Sweet 16, there's 11 seed Michigan, 5 seed Houston, 16 seed St. Peter's, 8 seed UCLA. And then we do have an 11-10 matchup with Iowa State and Miami. So I guess it's not as chalky as it appears. The top left quadrant is 1, 2, 3, 4, but everyone else has some low seeds that could continue to make a run. It's nice to know we'll have a double-digit seed in the Elite Eight. I'm hoping, for my bracket and for my conference, the ACC, Miami's gonna go on and they're gonna do well. Kick Iowa State's butt. But at this point, just gotta enjoy the basketball.